perfect world. Everybody's out there crying to be heard, but I got a new fire burning my heart, lighting up the darkness and moving like a meteorite. Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire, fire, fire. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire, fire, fire. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith.
Hi, we on? Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and there's my co-host Judy Marlowe, the
Hi.
Everything Judy. How is everyone today on this beautiful Sunday morning? It really is a remarkable day. It's we had thunderstorms yesterday, and today's beautiful outside, and we all get to get up this morning and experience life, and we're blessed. So, right, Judy?
Yes, we're very blessed.
We got an awesome show today. I say that every week because our file is growing and growing and growing and really remarkable. And of course, we want to thank Jim, our Jim, friend Jim Salvini, the president and founder of his TV broadcasting system here, and actually the engineer as well.
When it works.
That's okay. Everything works in God's time. Everything works in God's time. So, so today's a really, it's you know, I always try to keep things in the light mode, but today's a really a tender topic, and Stacy's going to share an experience that she had. She actually had two, but she's going to share an experience she had with us. And then we have invited Teresa St. Francis, who is a spiritual medium, communicator. She also wrote a book, which I'm not going to share with you yet, and so you're a little bit on edge about the topic, the tender topic that Stacy's going to share with us. But we invited Teresa here because Teresa could give some clarity and really help bring light to a situation that's usually thought of in a dark fashion, and it really is a tender topic. And please, if you have any questions or conversations, or we would love for you to call us at 613-415.
631.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
Right.
you. I'm saying it backwards. It's on the screen, but it's 631-415-1365. I got it. But it's right on the screen, so, please, or if you want to Facebook us, we'll follow that as well. Post a little something on your Facebook. We're all here. Ryan Seacrest can do it while he's on Kelly and Ryan in the morning. So I have my phone here, right, Ryan? Sean?
Yes.
Sean.
You don't know who I am?
No. I was talking about Ryan Seacrest.
Okay.
So, anyway, first, before we begin this show, we want to talk about World Stroke Day. World Stroke Day is October 29th every year, and I love the day because it brings together. Let's silence this. I know we have technology around us. But World Stroke Day is a really important day. Stroke Month is May, Aphasia Month is June, but World Stroke Day is really bringing the world together, and that one specific day to say, hey, let's recognize strokes. Last night when I was watching the World Series, which was an incredible game.
It was incredible.
I know. I saw that they did something, Stand Up for Cancer, and it was very moving that they did this. I think this is the second year they've done it, where they broadcast Stand Up for Cancer, and all the people I think it's 70,000 people in that auditorium or that stadium that share with them someone who they know have suffered from a stroke, from cancer. And I thought to myself, that would be pretty empowering to show all the people that have suffered from strokes as well. So, I would love to work with an organization as well, like the football or the hockey, or somebody to say, or even the baseball, to say look, now put down your signs about cancer and pick up your signs about strokes, because it really is devastating. It's probably just as many people that have suffered strokes.
You just gave me something else to work on.
Oh, good. So Judy's going to give us some information about strokes and really how to save lives. Our mission and passion in life is to double sorted. We want to save lives and the quality of life through education on how to prevent a stroke or save yourself after you've had a stroke, because 80% of strokes can be prevented. But we also, on the other side, is to save the quality of life after you suffered a stroke.
Can I say one thing, Renee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Since I've known you guys, I didn't really know that much about strokes at all. And I'm 53 years old, and I had no knowledge of them. And you say if what you do can affect one life, well, what you do did, because now I'm aware of what strokes are, and I'm aware of what the symptoms are if you're having a stroke. So, it's definitely something that education is very important here. Yeah. It's the most important thing, I think, because if you're sitting there and you're about to have a stroke and you can prevent it, wouldn't you want to do that? Or if someone walks upon someone who is having a stroke and they can help them, wouldn't they want to help them? And I think that you've taught me enough that I know both of those things.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
I didn't know anything about stroke either until the night that my dad had a stroke.
Wow. I want to ask our audience, did you hear what I said? Jim, did you hear what I said? Because my mic was way over there.
I think I did, but...
Okay. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna pick up on. You probably did, but I just want to make sure. Yep. So Judy's gonna give us some information on strokes, and like I was saying, our passion and mission in life is twofold: to save lives so that people that don't experience a stroke, because 80% of strokes can be prevented, and to really help those that have suffered a stroke, the quality of life within that 4.5 hour window to save your life. So, we're trying to get education out, and thank you, Jim, for the acknowledgement, because it really is important what we're doing. And we look for all partners to join with us to do that, and two of our partners are in the studio today, Stacy and Teresa. So let Judy say some words of experience, especially the FAST, and then we'll get to this important show.
FAST is very important to know. Facial weakness, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time loss is brain loss. For more resources, you can go to World Stroke Day at www.strokeassociation.org. Stroke risks. The changes you make now might change what happens to you later. Keep your stroke risks low with regular checkups and treatment for those conditions you do have. If you have high blood pressure or hypertension, know your numbers and keep track of them. Make sure that they're low. If you have diabetes, type 1 or 2, keep blood sugar controlled. If you're physically inactive, start moving and be more active. If you have high blood pressure, get it under control. If you have artery disease or PAD, get treatment to lower your risks. If you smoke cigarettes, take steps to stop smoking. If your diet is poor, you eat foods that improve your heart and brain health. If you're overweight, take steps to get your body mass into a healthy range. If you have carotid artery disease or other artery diseases, get treatment to lower your risks. If you have AFib, know your AFib stroke risks and keep them low. If you have other heart disease, manage related conditions, work with your healthcare provider. Your age matters. The likelihood of having a stroke nearly doubles every 10 years after age 55. Although stroke is more common among the elderly, a lot of people under 65 have strokes. Even babies, unborn babies could have a stroke. Anybody at any time could have a stroke. A family history of stroke can raise your risk. Know your family history. If your parent, grandparent, sister, or brother had a stroke, especially before the age of 65, you may be at greater risk. Sometimes strokes are caused by generic disorders, which can block blood flow from the brain. Your gender can affect your risks. Each year, women have more strokes than men. Stroke kills more women than men. Factors that may increase stroke risks for women include pregnancy, history of diabetes, oral contraceptives. All of this is on the website I mentioned, and I will get back to that in a moment. Race can make a difference. Geographic location can make a difference. Strokes are more common in the southeastern United States than other areas. Social economic factors could have an impact. Prior stroke, TIA, or heart attack can raise your risk. Drug abuse is associated with increased risk. Sleep habits can affect stroke risk factors. Alcohol abuse can raise your risk and multiply your risk. So again, the resources to save your life are at www.strokeassociation.org. I'm going to say it again, www.strokeassociation.org.
That's the American Stroke Association, correct? And there's a lot of organizations out there who have the same type of information. National Stroke. You know, there's a lot of also small organizations around. But we just want to make you aware that you need to take care of yourself. Everybody, my mom used to tell me that anybody knows if an airplane's going down, what's the first thing you have to do? You have to put on your
seatbelt.
You have to put your face mask on
and your mask and your
first.
oxygen.
Right, that has to be.
And then you got to pray.
Yes. But that's the first thing. You have to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of everybody else.
Yes.
So, really is important. And World Stroke Day is a wonderful opportunity to bring everybody together. And that's our motto is together we're lifting our voices and changing the face, which is the perception that strokes happens to elderly people only, locally and around the globe. So, It really is important. This is a phenomenal day. Make sure everybody hears about it. Make sure everybody knows. Make everybody aware of it. Share it on Monday. Share it today. Share it. And look forward to, bringing light to strokes and people that have suffered strokes and to save lives. So,
do you want to go over the stroke by numbers?
No,
briefly?
no,
Okay.
no. But because they could find all that information. But so October 29th, which is tomorrow, Stroke Awareness, World Stroke Day. Please keep everybody updated and informed and share it so they know. And do something kind for somebody tomorrow as well. So we have one really exciting telethon announcement.
Yes, we do.
So I'm going to let Judy share. Not you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think
Miss?
so. Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
We have Miss Connecticut, Miss USA.
Yeah, she's Miss Connecticut, and actually I saw her the Miss America pageant on Channel 7, and I think it was Channel 7. I was watching her on the broadcast, and I saw her talking about strokes. That was her platform. I'm like,
right.
Oh my God. I'm like, so I videotaped it and sent it to my team. I said, okay, contact her.
And her name is Bridget.
Yes.
Do you have her last name?
No, I don't have it on there.
Okay.
But she was so gracious and really wanted to be a part of our telethon. So we are so humble and grateful that you're taking this opportunity to be a part of our telethon. So we'll have more information moving forward. So thank you so much. Jim, I think we're just going to go right into it. We're not going to take a quick break because this is an important topic. So let me just share what I shared before, so to make sure everybody heard it. Stacy Kaplan, who is a stroke survivor, and she's volunteers at Adler's Aphasia Center in Maywood, and her and I connected at Toastmasters, and I absolutely know that God has brings people together, brings me together with people for the specific reason to make everybody aware of their stories so that they could get it out and they could be a purpose. But Stacy also had experienced a very tender topic. And that topic is suicide. And we're going to talk to Stacy about, like, how did she feel so inward? Like, how did she feel that she really wanted to end her life? Because it's really sad, like, when you think about it, but you have to understand it. You have to walk in somebody's footsteps. Then we have Teresa St. Francis, who is a dear friend of mine, and she's also a spiritual medium, communicates with the other side, but she actually wrote a book called What Happens the Day After. And in this book is really a wonderful book because it brings light to the situation. It brings light to those that have decided to cross over and what happens to them the day after. And we thought it was really important to have Teresa here to actually support Stacy as she's sharing her information, but really to answer any questions that the audience may have about that topic. Because she is very knowledgeable in this area because she did her research and she communicates with people who have crossed over. And later in the program, we'll talk about Teresa's, her speaking engagements and her personal mediumship and her personal, where you can book her to have a reading. So, but we're going to open it up. Oh, what's that? That means it's true. That means it's true. And then, I forgot. We have Lady Jane in the studio. Jim, can you open up the screen to show Lady Jane? And she's got Teresa's book on her. She's perfect. Is she up? Lady Jane is a beautiful service dog who Stacy has. There she is. She's looking good. She's a beautiful service dog that Stacy has she found Stacy. She found Stacy.
We found each other.
We found each other. So welcome to the show today, both of you.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to have you both here on this. It's a tender topic. But we try to always bring light to each situation. So Stacy, tell us. Move that down. No, move it down a little bit, just so. Oh, can she move it down?
It's good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. So that we could share a little bit about your stroke and about your suicide story.
So most of my adult life, I suffered depression, and I was on medication, all of them, throughout my life, and I was able to get rid of the medication because I was exercising. I woke up every day at 5:30 and went jogging for 2 miles.
All right.
Wow.
8.5 years ago, I was at my healthiest ever. There was about 60 pounds less of me. All my numbers were great. I went to the doctor for my annual physical. Everything was great. Then I was driving down a highway and my vision started clouding up, and I got a little scared because that's very important to me. So I drove to the emergency room and called my mom, and she met me there. They looked in my eye, they didn't see anything wrong, and one of the doctors suggested that I should hang around for a little. And I was talking to my mom, and all I remember is she started screaming, "Help, my daughter's stroking." And then I woke up in the ICU, and my left side of my body was paralyzed, and I could maybe string 2 or 3 words together.
Wow.
That's where I learned about both stroke and aphasia.
Right.
And I was told that I wouldn't walk without assistance, that I wouldn't have my left hand again to use. And I was 47 years old, and I was in perfect health. So I was like, no, not a problem.
Well, does anybody know that Montel Williams just had a stroke? He just had a major stroke, and he was so physically fit that he was in the gym working out.
Didn't that poor guy have MS also?
He had MS also. But he just had a major stroke. I saw him on Good Morning America, and I saw him, tears were coming down his face because he's like, I was pushing to be so in shape, and he goes, that didn't help me. It didn't help me.
Nope.
And he wanted everybody to know how important it was that to know the signs of saving someone to have a stroke. It was really, really, I'm actually looking, Montel, we'd like you to be on the telethon as well. But no, I think it's important that we all come together. But that's true.
Again,
So
I
your
was
health,
in great
your
health.
physical.
It did help me with my recovery.
Yes.
I was in Kessler for a month and a half, and then outpatient and whatever. I also couldn't read again, and I was an avid reader before. When I woke up, I couldn't recognize all the letters in the alphabet. I was a teacher, so I taught myself to read again. I started with the flashcards, and I graduated to a first grade phonics book, and I'm able to read again. Not as fast, but I can read. I can jog a little bit, and my hand is fine, so things are
You
looking
recovered
up.
well. You
Yes.
recovered well.
But in between, after about a year after my stroke, I was at home. I couldn't walk well. I couldn't read well. And I had so much time, and everyone else that I knew was working because I was only 47.
Wow.
And everything was in my head, and that's part of aphasia. You have so many thoughts, but you have a lot of trouble expressing it, getting the words out. And even like when I would walk, I had to concentrate so much that I couldn't walk and talk.
Well, now, you said when we were driving here, you've had 2 experiences with trying to commit suicide.
Right.
So how far after your first stroke, did you try to, and how did it occur?
So that I'm explaining the first one, and that was about a year and a half later, and I was very depressed, and I said, it's not worth me living because I can't do anything that I used to do. I can't do anything, so why bother? And I tried to commit suicide. My husband was on opioids, and I took a bunch of his pills, but only a couple because I didn't want to throw up. So I started getting tired, and I'm saying to myself, this is not going to work. I didn't take enough pills, but I did take some of my sleeping pills that was making me tired, so I couldn't get out of bed.
Do you think it was more, let me ask Teresa. Teresa, do you think subconsciously it was more of a cry for help? Or how do you interpret, what do they tell you from the other side and the spirits? And
I think it's a combination of both, but I also see you spiritual and have a lot of intuition and psychic gifts. So there's a combination of things going on. And the reason the first time didn't work because Spirit didn't want you to leave. So you got pushed back into body. And in getting pushed back into body, they were trying to say to you, you're important. And that's one of the things I talk about in my book. I talk about when I lecture and in readings is people's life purpose. Now, we talk about Lady Jane over here. If you had taken your life, where would Lady Jane be?
Don't know.
Don't know.
So after the first stroke, I went to Adler Center, and that's my purpose now because I can't teach anymore. So I went there, and I felt it was a life-changing moment when I went in that place because I was talking again because people weren't judging me, and
right.
I was inspirational to some of the other members because I got much better during the day.
Right.
Roll forward a few years. Last spring, I suffer from asthma, and last fall it was really bad, and the pulmonologist prescribed me some prednisone, and it didn't help, and I told, so he decided to get me more and more strong, and I'm telling everyone it's messing with my head, I don't feel right, I'm going out of my skin, and nobody listened. And I finally got really frustrated and decided to self-medicate with a fifth of bourbon. And it did slow down my brain a little bit. And then I said, this is just not worth it. I should just check out. And I tried to slice my wrist, and it hurt, but who cared? And I was sitting there like digging.
It didn't hurt so much because you were self-medicated from the alcohol.
I guess,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
And
But when we were driving in and we were talking about this, I think it's so powerful to say that your mental pain was so astonishing that it superseded the physical pain that you were inflicting on yourself.
Yep.
Right, Teresa?
And you brought up a really good point that I find with people who, including myself, deal with depression. I've attempted suicide quite a few times when I was younger. And one of the things I want to talk about is our mental state in the sense of we are our own worst enemy. We become
Yes.
our own judgment, jury, and conviction.
Boy, do I know that.
And that is also a large precipitous of why you feel alone, why you feel like you can't acquiesce into society or into your regular life, because you're judging yourself in such a harsh way that, and nobody else is, by the way. Let's be very clear.
Oh, absolutely.
Nobody else is judging you or having any input on what you're thinking about yourself and the way you think about yourself. That's why it's really important in talking about suicide, talking about stroke and aphasia. We need to talk about the importance of our lives and that this is temporary. Yes, you go through the process of healing. Yes, you go through the process of, you have the stroke and then you go through the process of recovery. And some people go shorter, some people go longer. But there's a reason for it all. And we might not know the reason. But that reason puts us in a place that we're supposed to be in. And that's important because now you work at the care center and you help other people.
Because of her experience.
Right. So your experience put you there to help other people. And that's really what I want to also impact in the book and in teaching and in lecturing is we have importance no matter where we are. Not only do we have...
Very important.
Very important. Not only do we have a purpose, but those purposes are, there's a grand purpose and then there's all these sub-purposes that we have. And something as simple as a smile can change somebody's life.
Right.
And I think we forget that, especially when you're in, or especially in your situation, you're in this place of, I don't think I can live anymore because I don't want to live this way.
Right. And, yet last night I was very depressed, but I wasn't suicidal. It was in there somewhere, but I'm like, no, that's not the answer. So at least I know now. That's not the
Can I ask
answer.
you a question? Who came to save you the first and second time?
The first time I was in my bed and my son came, I guess, and found me. The second time, the woman at the Aphasia Center called me because I should have been at there, and I was pretty regular when I came, and she called me and she talked to me. I don't remember, but she said I sounded something was wrong, so she reached out to my mother, who called my cousin who's on the EMT.
Wow. It's so
Those were your angels.
yeah.
It's amazing how, even though we don't think we have assistance, we always have
actually
assistance.
do.
We actually do. And our angels, our guardian angels, our tag team, which I talk about in the book, which is Teachers, Angels, and Guides, which is my enneagram for our whole spiritual family, talks to other spiritual family to assist and coordinate in a recovery effort, which they did for you, which they do for all people. It's not exclusive to one person or another. And I think that's really important for people to understand. When we're in a bad situation, whether it's depression, bullying, anxiety, or have a health issue that's making us feel it's prohibiting our lives from being fulfilled, we have to understand it's temporary. It will get better. And the big component here is time. People forget that.
And
when
they
you
should go for help, or somebody around them should get them help.
Well, what's one of the things we also talk about a lot, and I talk about in the readings, is what do we look for? The book talks about adolescents and taking their lives, but I also talk about adults and those issues that cause them to feel like they want to leave this planet. What are some of the signs? Some of the signs are removal from family or social graces, gaining or losing weight. And a lot of people don't realize that gaining weight is also an issue for people who are thinking about suicide.
I never thought about that.
Why
Never
is
thought
that,
about-
Teresa?
Because they're depressed and some people find great comfort in food
eating.
and
I
eating.
see.
Yeah.
And when they start to overeat, they're looking for more and more comfort.
And they get love that way.
They get love that
would
way.
it be
They
the
get-
opposite way too? Would people who lose weight, would that be a
Yes.
sign too? The opposite of that?
Yes, it is. But that's the standard sign. Everybody says, oh, if you're depressed, you lose weight. I've worked with people that have actually gained weight when they're depressed because that's their drug of choice. It's their way of self-soothing, but it also is a sign that there's something wrong. And when you're looking at people who are contemplating suicide, they're not wearing a big neon sign saying,
Of course not.
I don't want to be here anymore, or I'm in a really bad place, or I'm scared, I don't know what to do. Most people don't know how to reach out. And we live in a society, unfortunately, that wants to sweep suicide underneath the carpet.
Well, that's what I was saying to Stacy on the way here is, that's one of the things that I always bring to the forefront. Like, I know after you suffer a stroke is a brain attack. So how do you know how to control your brain or how to use the tools or know that it's us who needs to do the work if your brain has been scrambled? I mean, it's like a catch-22. I know that doctors and nurses, they can only help you and assist you in some fashion. So you kind of have to, work through it. So I've never contemplated suicide, but I can understand where she is in that,
Absolutely.
And I had said, well, maybe I didn't express myself well enough. I had said to everyone that I felt weird and my brain was bothering me, whatever. But I didn't come out and say, help me,
Because doctors don't take women seriously all the time. I mean, it's very important to have a doctor that takes you seriously. That you can talk to about anything and their understanding, but in general, they dismiss it. They just.
I think that the world is so busy and crazy, Teresa, and I talk about this all the time. Every time I call her, and I'm like ranting. I do rant. I rant.
Really?
Yeah. No, like Teresa and I have like an open conversation. I'm like, we talk about the universe and we talk about like the spiritual powers and we talk about the negativity and we talk about all that stuff, and we're trying to reel it back in to love, but it's so hard. So it's just crazy. So I think that people are talking, but nobody's listening. I think am I correct, Teresa?
I think all around right now, that's the universal imbalance, is everybody's preoccupied in their own head for their own reasons, whether it's work, career, health, family, children.
And you can tell when somebody's not listening when you're talking to them. Or if they're talking and they're looking everywhere but at you.
Well, and to add to that, I think doctors in general are so overwhelmed.
They are overwhelmed.
With their own inundated schedule that they see us, their patient, as next. Like, I have to go to the next one and the next one. So you become part of the process instead of the individual.
It's important to find a doctor that you can relate with and that it's not an overcrowded practice.
But they're all. It's such a.
Well, I did find.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's just really so hard now.
It's really hard.
It's funny because after the last suicide attempt, I changed both my general practitioner and my pulmonologist, because when I went to the hospital, I left messages with both of them, and nothing. Nope.
I think we too, as a society, have to be a little bit more acutely aware of our friends and family around us.
Yes, absolutely.
Are they acting the way that they should, meaning engaging or traditional or typical to their personality or archetype? Right. And if they're not, we need to pay attention to what they're saying. And sometimes, like yourself, you couldn't express, I need help.
Right.
Your way of expressing it was, I feel uncomfortable, or I feel like there's something in my brain. Those should have been real big red flags.
Right.
When I talk to kids who've attempted suicide, the numbers for adolescent suicides is phenomenal.
I know.
4 out of every 5 adolescent has attempted suicide.
Wow.
That's a statistical fact between the ages of 8 and 18.
Wow, that's staggering.
It's staggering.
Staggering.
And when I talk to them, and I talk either in a reading or in a lecture, I talk about, you have to be honest with yourself. And you have to ask yourself, how do I feel? What can I do? And I think people like yourself, whether we're young or old, we need to have that strength of confidence and conviction that says, I am worth having somebody listen to me. Even though I might think that I'm crazy,
Right.
it doesn't matter. We become so judgmental in our own heads that we actually sabotage our own health process.
Right. So, I mean, and this is what I've learned is if you're trying to get to somebody and they're not listening to you, to get somebody else.
Correct.
Get
Well,
rid of them and find
I have
someone
on
else.
my phone the suicide prevention hotline.
That's awesome.
So if I'm really bad, I don't have to
Perfect.
look for it. I just
Perfect. And what app is that so that we
it's
could
just
share?
I found a number online and just put it in my
In my book,
contacts.
in the back, I have 3 pages of suicide prevention hotline, as well as family support, adolescent support, and adult support. So in the back of the book,
There's all resources.
there's all resources.
So that's a good reason unto itself.
Onto itself.
To get this book so that you could have it in case on handy. Although the book is wonderful. Tell us a little bit about the book, Teresa. Tell us where it came from. Tell us your experiences suffering, trying to commit suicide.
Well, as a psychic medium, animal communicator, and now author, I never felt like I fit in. My whole life, I've always felt like I walked to a beat of a different drummer. I came into this world a little too plump for society, and I've stayed that way. So growing up, I was bullied every day in school. From the time I was in kindergarten, all the way up until high school.
Very sad.
And
But all kids are bullied today for one reason or another. One reason or another. I think people just look for reasons to bully children, and it's very sad.
It's very sad. And then I went to college, and I didn't feel like I fit in. So when I came out of school, my first attempt was driving a car, and I hit a tree. And I walked out without a scratch.
Wow.
And the car was
God
clean.
said
No way. And I've attempted a few other times in my 20s.
And how did you? And why? What was the mindset? Like what were you just tired of dealing with it?
I'm tired of living. I was tired of dealing with it. Tired of not feeling connected to anybody. Tired of not feeling like it was ever going to go away. I had a hard time understanding who I was. And when growing up, now society accepts psychic mediums,
Right.
and there are some role models. But when I was growing up, there were no role models.
You were. I think Dionne Warwick is much older than you, our age, but she was one that believed in spiritual mediums.
Right,
as
but that
well.
was only in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
You know, so there's a big difference between those 20 years.
Yeah.
We've actually, just even in the last 15 years, we've gone from a society who doesn't accept psychics, mediums, and you can communicate to the other side, to it being mainstream.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
well, it needs to be. I mean,
needs
you
to
and I
be.
agree that it needs
Absolutely.
to be mainstream. Let me remind everybody that in a little bit, Teresa is going to be taking some phone calls. So if you have any spiritual questions or a question for Teresa, please call in at 631-415-1365, and the phone number is right on the screen.
Renee, I have a thought. I think everybody should have these 3 factors in mind. Something to do, something to look forward to, and most of all, someone to love.
That's right. That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
think that is a very important way to live.
Yeah. I actually had somebody, I want to go back because I told everybody, anybody that had to respond via Facebook, Pamela Roth, who was the Justice Hour co-host, she actually wrote, I have terrible sleeping patterns, which, that sleeping has a lot to do with strokes, and not that she's going to suffer stroke, but, that's...
I find that if I read a couple of chapters of a book before I go to sleep, I sleep better. If I go to sleep feeling tired but I don't read, I could be up for hours.
I find, and I talk about this in the book, I talk about this when I do readings, is prayer. If you can't sleep...
Or meditation.
Take some deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Pray to whatever your God is for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing I also juncture that with is find your happy place.
Yeah.
Go to a happy place in your head.
Think of some place you'd like to be, like the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
And see yourself uniting with your guardian angel. And in doing that, you will actually have a physical reaction. Your body will start to wind down and your mind will calm down and you'll start to go into that REM place. So that's another way that Pamela can hopefully take those situations and transition to a better night's sleep.
Do you hear that, Pamela? The other one is, and what I do is I just go into a prayer mode.
Me too.
I just I say the rosary or I say the Our Father just on a continuous basis to pull myself out of that thought pattern. Because believe it or not, I mean, I
Say
look
it out loud.
at least sometimes, but I appear to have it all together. People say, "Oh, how can I?" But there are times where it's like, I mean, recently I'm like, "Okay, God, like, what do you want?" I do. I argue with God.
I know.
What do you want me to do? Like, you give me this, you want me to do that, you want me to do this, you want me to do that. Yeah, and like make it a little bit
one day.
make it a little bit easy for me, and I think Teresa, share your thoughts on this. I think God just wants to feel us energized, and he wants to know
You're over energized.
but he wants to know that we're affirmative about what we're doing and where we're going. We can't be wishy-washy in our lives.
Well, I think we live in a very complex world right now. And there's a lot of fear, anger, and negativity prevailing as an energy force field. And that is felt by everybody.
Right.
I also think it disrupts our sleep. It causes our anxiety levels to raise. So one of the other things I would suggest to all the listeners is find a mantra that you enjoy.
Yes.
A mantra that makes you feel happy. And for me, it's I have quite a few mantras, depending on what I use it for and what I need.
Can you share one with us?
I love Om. Om is
Yes.
one of my mantras.
Because isn't that supposed to be the vibration?
The vibration
that connects you.
the Kundalini.
Yes.
Correct. Into your vibration. So Om. I do a lot of I am happy. They can be very simple mantras. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love my life. I also practice gratitude attitude.
Right.
And I talked about that
Yes.
in the book as well.
Yeah.
So taking those positive vibrations in a world that all wants to instill fear will allow your peace of mind and your body to rest.
Yeah. That's why I always sang the song let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, because it has to begin within you for you to energize and get it out in the world. It's got to begin within our souls.
And we need to teach that. We need to teach our children that they are important. They have a purpose. We need to teach them how to self-soothe. I think children today are so external, and the devices, phones, tablets, they derive their whole sense of being, identity externally.
Yeah. There's a lot of schools, not a lot of schools, but I've seen schools publicized like on 2020 and stuff like that actually have meditation as a part of their ritual during the day.
Idea.
And they bring kids to that meditative spot, and they're centered, and they're more educated. Because,
I think it needs to be a federal platform versus an individual school.
Me too.
Push.
It's a private school, but they're doing. But at least it's out that this is helping. This is helping children do that. Do you have any mantras, or do you have any self-soothing formats that you use, Stacy?
I think of
What's that?
I think about all the things in my life that are good, that my two sons that are now healthy adults, all the good I do at Adler, inspiring people. So I don't really have one thing, but I think of happy thoughts.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a way that you transition your brain patterns, right, Teresa?
Correct. To assimilate to a positive and grounded energy. I feel important in my life, therefore I'm important to the world.
Yeah.
And that's a really big concept that we have to promote, especially when people like ourselves, where we've attempted suicide or you in depression, and in depression it gets sometimes very dark and lonely. So sometimes we need to actually reach in and pretend we're our own best friend and pull ourselves out of it.
Yeah, and we're the ones that have to do it. We're the ones that have to do it. That's the universal message for everybody. Is, and Dominic Cordalesa, who is an angel to me, always said to me, Renee, you have to trust in yourself. You do for everybody else.
Yes.
You're inspiring other people else. You're doing this. You're doing that.
Okay.
But you have to trust in yourself.
But also have a support team too.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
to have in place that, you know, you're pulling yourself out. I do need somebody to talk to. Like our friend Lady Jane over here.
Beautiful.
If you have an animal, a cat, a dog,
Yeah.
a horse,
Yeah.
a guinea pig, I don't care who you
bird.
talk to, bird.
Yeah.
Talk to your animals.
Yeah.
They will talk back. They will generate love for you. They will help you process
true.
through your own pain.
And it's so funny because I just said to Dom, I texted him and I said, you know, Dom, I'm sorry for ranting or raving about something the other day. And he goes, and, you know, I said, thank you for being there for me. And he goes, you know, anytime. So when I sent to him, I said, yeah, now we have to get the rest of the world to know that you just need to listen to people. You just need to be there for them. Sometimes you don't need to give them the answers. You just need to support each other as you're going through it. To let them know they're not alone, they have a helping hand, and they'll be okay. You know, just need that what's the word I'm looking at? That strength.
Listen to their friends and see if they.
Judy's
Yeah,
wonderful to me too.
there's a-
Judy always listens to me, and you know she's a wonderful support as well.
And if you
I feel
don't
you.
have a friend, you know, I do private readings. Clients do come for closure.
Yes.
You know, not only talking to their families, but I also talk to pets on the other side. And in my readings, I strive to give closure, forgiveness, compassion, peace, love by what the information is delivered to me from those on the other side. And that's really important. A lot of people are struggling with their own inner demons. Maybe there was something that was left unsaid from a loved one that passed that needs to have closure, or you didn't get to say goodbye to your pet, or I have a lot of people who've put their pets down and want to know, was it okay? So when I do a reading, my hope is when you walk out of my office,
Feel a little better.
you feel better. And feeling better is the
Feel
whole process
peaceful.
of healing the world.
Yes.
So we had two posts on Facebook. We had one. Corinne says, I had a doctor once tell me she had 15 I guess minutes to give me. It's hard to find a good doctor. It's hard to find a good doctor,
Most
which
of them
was
will only give you 15 minutes.
Yeah, because they're on a schedule. They have a
Right,
schedule.
and they're rushed. And the thing that really bothers me is I used to have a doctor that would be on his computer. Those 15 minutes, I'd say, "Hello, I'm over here." Would
I
you
know,
like to
but really, that's the way it is.
But
I mean, and I don't like that. I want the one-on-one
Yes, and I found
interaction with people.
Also understand too, it's not just the doctors, it's the insurance companies. Insurance companies pay them by their numbers.
Oh,
So they
never thought of that.
Yeah, the insurance
So
companies also
right.
drive.
So if they have 50 patients, they'll get paid 50 times for that. If they only have 30 patients, they only get paid 30 times for the individual.
I don't know how it works, but I did
Yeah,
have a doctor
that's true, though.
once say to me, the insurance dictates how many people I have to see a day.
That's ridiculous. Please don't
and
get me
that's
into
why
insurance.
They double book, and you're sitting there for an hour.
If not longer.
So Gail Garfink, do you know her? Teresa?
I know, I'm
She
looking
said,
at my phone right
Great
now."
info, Teresa. Time to get back to the basics and pray and recharge. Our animals are amazing blessings who help us. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Gail, for watching. But we as a society need to start speaking up and talking about those things that we're not talking about, like suicide. Suicide is
Yes, let's get back to...
the number one adolescent way children pass. It's not cancer. It's not accidents. It's really
So,
suicide.
Teresa, give us an example from the book of someone that passed and you're connected with, that you've spoken to.
If you read the book, Michelle was my guardian and my connection through the whole process. She brought through all these other adolescents.
Michelle was an
Michelle
adolescent?
was a young woman who passed, whose mom
She committed suicide?
she committed suicide.
How old was she?
She was in her 20s.
Okay.
And she was in her 20s. She was 18, 19, first year of college, total overachiever, got into college. She was a big fish in a small school, number 1 in high school, got into college, and she had difficulty assimilating because she wasn't number 1 anymore. She was in a big pool of students in a very strict competition.
Mm.
She committed suicide. Her mother comes to me over a course of a year, and we have conversations. And Michelle,
Her mother is living?
her mother
on
is
Earth?
living on Earth.
So she wants to talk to her daughter
She wanted
through
her
you.
daughter through me to talk to her about what went on, because when Michelle passes, nobody knows that she's in trouble until after she passes. They read the notes. Michelle also bought Christmas gifts for everybody just before she passes. So she pretty much closes up her life before she takes her life.
But you had said to me that when someone takes their life, and correct me if I'm wrong in my concept, when someone takes their life, that their life, they haven't fulfilled their purpose yet. So did Michelle fulfill her purpose since she
No.
had gone out and she had closure to everything?
She tried to close her physical life.
Right. Okay.
Okay, tying up all loose ends.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean
And saying goodbye with Christmas gifts.
saying goodbye with Christmas gifts. But that doesn't mean your life is ended. That just means that was her choice. But when you move to the other side, you learn that you can't take your own life because we're so intertwined with everybody else. We have life contracts. We are important. Michelle's sister was pregnant, so there was going to be a baby, and she was going to be an aunt. There's a whole subsequent series of events that transpire and are supposed to transpire whether you're here or not. So when you move to the other side and you've actually disrupted your life contract, the one that you made with God, and you pass over to the other side, you now have to fulfill that life contract as if you're here. So you have to coordinate everything from the other side, because there are things that are still supposed to happen whether you're here or not. You choose to leave is irrelevant to other people's life contract situations, events.
Wow. Wow. Teresa, Stacy, you had told me that something made a big impact on you.
Yeah, I saw the Star is Born, the movie, and the suicide scene when the gentleman
Goes in the garage.
got wet. I felt a connection with him, and I said, I really understand why he's doing that. Then after that, there was all the people left and how they had to deal with it, and that made a real impact on me. That you have all these people still on Earth, and how hard it was for them, and that really felt right here.
Yeah.
You felt the impact of the survivors,
Yeah.
Right.
and how what you left behind,
Heartbreaking it was.
and how important you were to them. I think people don't understand how important they are to each other, and especially adolescents don't understand that they're important to their family, to their friends. They take it for granted. And I think one of the biggest issues that I want to raise here today, that I want to continue the conversation with, is the bullying. Children should not take their peer group as an equal. They should substitute their peer group for their parents, their healthy friends. Too much bullying goes on and these kids take it to heart. And instead of taking heart, there should be a mindset of, there's something wrong with them if they're going to put me in a place that doesn't boast me up and influence me. So we need to talk about that. And I think, but I see bullying even in the workplace. I see it in the adult life as well. If you're being bullied, whether you're an adolescent or an adult, it's not your problem. There's something wrong with that individual.
That's correct.
Right. Because I've learned through my life is that when someone is talking negative to you, it's actually a reflection back on how they're feeling about themselves.
Correct. Or it's they want to dominate the situation and make you feel less than because it makes them feel better.
Or
Right,
they want to feel
right.
more important.
Right. And one of my mantras is, I'm okay, blankety blank, you're up.
Yeah, yeah. Teresa, how can they get in touch with you? Not that we're done, but how can they get in touch with you for private readings?
You can call my office at 201-475-1044. You can also go to my website, which is teresastfrancis.com, and all the information is up there, as well as testimonials, and it's a full website with
It's a
video.
beautiful website. It's
Thank
new.
you.
It's beautiful.
It's a new website about what I do, how I do it. You'll see I'll be putting up a whole new section on blogging in the next 2 weeks. I'm also coming out with a product line on how to cleanse your house, a cleansing kit, so to remove negativity from your environment, to improve the quality of your life and raise the love in your home.
Right, right.
So my whole job here in writing the book, helping people, talking to your pets. I also talk to live pets as well.
I was just going to say this. So
Yes,
what is
yes.
Jane saying to Stacy?
Jane told me today when I was out in the parking lot, we stopped for Dunkin' Donuts,
Yes.
and Jane started barking at me. She was telling me that she's not breathing well today. Her breath work is off, and that she was worried about her, and can I tell her? And she was also telling me that when Stacy gets really upset, she shuts down, and Jane wants her to talk to her because that's her job. Jane's job is to be her partner in healing and supportive, and she can't support her if she pushes her away.
Last night when I was really bad, I actually kind of had a conversation with her. I said, "What's going on? You're supposed to make me feel better." And her eyes were so sweet, and her tail started wagging, and it felt better. It does make a difference.
It does make a difference, but you have to engage
Yeah.
with her, and she loves that because she knows her job is to keep you healthy. And animals know that. And one of the things I want to just say today is, please, if you have an animal, pet, cat, dog, guinea pig, pot-belly pig, a horse, they hear
Which
your
Teresa
thoughts.
had spoken
Yes.
to all of them.
Yes. I've been to farms. I go to horse farms and domestic farms and agricultural farms, pig farms, zoos. If you have an animal and it's part of your family, they hear your vibrations, they hear your thoughts, they feel your energy. So please engage with them because they want to know what's going on with you. And that's really important. And not only will it help them stay healthier knowing that you're okay and that they're part of your life, but you'll feel better too.
Yeah. I hear the other side as well, and they're asking me, to talk to you about like the fact that we got to work with the spirits, we have to work with the angels, we have a tag team around us, but we need to move forward and do the steps that we need to do in our lives. Does that make sense to you?
Well, we as a society, one of the things I talk about, and I'm hopefully putting classes together with, is how to connect. We need to take the time. I think people think it's an automatic rite of passage. My angel's here and that's all I need to know. Well, we need to meditate. You need to have some quiet time. You need to have, in the book, I have a whole section on me moments, on how to establish your connection with.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your guardian angel.
If you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take
Right.
care of others?
But taking care of yourself is also connecting with your angel, asking your angel to help you, to assist you. What can I do? What signs we can connect with? A lot through the book. There's a lot of themes through the book. One of the themes through the book is the angels interceding before these individuals took their lives, and all the signs that these individuals were given not to take their life.
Right.
And people just cascaded over all those signs.
Teresa, share with us, because I know this is, like I said, it's a tender topic. It's really a topic, like you said before, that most people don't want to talk about because, I don't want to say that they're embarrassed, but they're devastated. That's more the word that I'm looking for. They're devastated over what has happened, and they don't understand the mindset of how it happened. I know through this book you wanted to bring light to that. So how do we bring light to this type of situation?
Come out of the fear. I believe the reason we're sweeping it under carpet is nobody wants to talk about, society doesn't want to address it as a silent epidemic, and it is a silent
Oh my
epidemic.
God, it's so sad.
Just this week there were 2 girls who jumped over the GW bridge and they had tied each other together with duct tape. I don't know if you had heard about it.
I heard it.
This is becoming the silent epidemic, and I write that in the book. We as a society have to start talking about proper mental health care. I don't like the term mental health, and even in the book I make some suggestions of alternative phrases instead of mental health, because these kids today use mental health as if it's a weapon.
Right.
Instead of a tool to help somebody heal and get healthy.
Right.
So we as a society have to start looking at what can we do to boost people up and be nice and supportive and positive versus be so destructive with each other. And the way that we need to do that is to love each other. And I think we forgot that love is the key component to healing all of it.
That's my motto. That's our motto. That's my foundation's motto. Love is the answer. Peace, hope, and love. Like, let's just live by it.
So I think we as a society have to stop saying, not my child, not me, it can't happen to me, it's not going to happen to my family members. Anybody is susceptible to thoughts of suicide. Anybody is susceptible to a stroke. Anybody is susceptible to depression. It's how you handle it. It's the support that you get. And we need to educate. And I think one of the big things, like you did early on in today's show, is you educated the people on the signs of stroke, what categories they might fit into. We need to educate people on suicide. We need to educate people on mental health. And find another word than mental health.
What are some of your recommendations for it?
In the book, I talk about addressing it from a whole different perspective in the sense of cranial instead of mental, because it is cranial. So cranial disorder is one of the words I've used.
That's more of a medical term as well than mental health.
Right.
Disorder is more like it's serious. It's something that's an issue. More than like mental health, to me, sometimes people take it as not a negative,
Something
but
you could just brush away.
Yeah.
But mental, these kids running around using that as a weapon. That's like a sword. You're mental.
Right.
And we've all heard it in our lives. We've heard it from other children.
Right.
But cranial disorder, it is a little bit more...
And it really describes what's wrong, because there are chemical imbalances. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I and that was one of my suggestions in the book, was a cranial disorder. So that you can't use those words as a weapon. And it does much more effectively address the situation instead of mental.
Right.
Because depression is, you're not mental.
Right.
You have an imbalance that we need to address.
Right.
There's no stigma.
Correct. That was the word I was looking for. There's no stigma.
And once again, no matter what we're dealing with in life, balance in your life is really important. To balance your life between, health and love and work and enjoyment and peace and meditation and prayer and all those facets. It really is an important tool to balance yourself.
Well, I want to thank you for saying that, because it's really important to have the complete balance. It's the well-rounded 360-degree picture. Right. I believe that we have lost that segment of spirituality, of prayer, devotion, meditation, compassion. We're so busy as a general consciousness society. Got to go to work, got to raise the kids on a schedule, got to get the lunch done. Everything is so mundane, earthly, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
That I think people forget to incorporate the other aspect that does bring in the love, the light, and the balance.
And it fulfills you.
And why you're doing it. You're doing all these things with love.
Well, one would hope.
I hope.
I mean, I guess because I'm who I am, and I feel so out of whack when I don't have my me time. I don't have God time. I don't have time to spend by myself and in that zone. I mean, yesterday, even when I was home, and my alone time doesn't need to be sitting in my prayer room. My alone time just means me to be by myself, so I could hear God and listen to God, and so when I was putting away my winter stuff, that's when I was having conversations with God and listening to Him, and really, could zero in, and that I need to re-energize my soul. and that's what I do when my alone time is re-energize myself.
For me, I love getting in the shower. When I'm in the shower, that's my banging time with God.
And you get thoughts and you get ideas.
I do. In the shower.
Yes.
It's an amazing place. So if you're having a hard time connecting, in the shower, or I like to go for long drives. So it's just my time alone without interference. So those are two suggestions I would, for listeners who are wondering, how do I get into that quiet time?
Go to a peaceful spot.
Yes.
That you enjoy, like maybe the beach or the harbor.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever.
That's our thing. I think whatever brings you peace. I mean, and why we're saying is because you don't have to go to in a church. Yes, it's important to have your faith and to keep your rituals and your faith, whether it's a synagogue or a church or, or prayer meditation, no matter what, but to always find that space that works for you.
Well, I like I say all the time, bring your faith into you.
Yes.
So wherever you want to bring that place into, whether, as I said, is the beach, the mountains. Look, if you can't leave your house and you got 5 minutes, go sit in the bathroom, close the door, lock out the world. And just take some deep breaths. I also, one of the things I've also talked about in the book is to meditate, and we're always so busy driving. When you're at a light, you're going to get 30 seconds. 30 seconds connecting to God is like a big hug and a kiss for the Creator.
True.
So you can do it simple. You just have to carve out some conscious time to do it. And I think that's really important, because we need to have that counterbalance. We live in such a crazy, unbalanced world.
It's so fast-paced.
It's fast-paced. It's negative. This week was really, my opinion, an evil week. There's been a lot of evil stuff going on this week.
There was, and we don't even have to say what they are. Just
Everybody knows.
Yeah. So in order to counter the evil, let's bring in the light. Do your part by having
positive things,
positive
for yourself
thoughts,
and for others.
right? And put out positive thoughts.
Yes.
Well, Teresa, we have to have you back because I know you and I always wanted to talk about women empowerment.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I would love to do that.
So Judy will book you because we need to have this conversation about women standing together, and we don't say that any negativity against men, but women need to just support each other. I think that's the empowerment part, is to support each other. Because we need to.
Well, we need to bring in that energy, not only to support each other, to raise each other up. From a very physical standpoint, we think both from our left and right brain. Men just think from the right brain.
Right.
So we're a little bit more balanced and multitasked.
And I think I would like to have Jim and men in on that conversation. No, I think it's important because we're speaking our piece, but it really is important to have the other side speak their thought patterns on it. So we're going to be winding down. We ran a little bit over because thank you, Pamela, for I don't know whether she's doing her show today, but for the opportunity to share a little bit more time, because this was really an important topic.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh,
it really is an important. And Stacy, thank you for sharing.
I always do, because I feel it's very important that people understand.
Well, and I think it's important that people find comfort in sharing and find a safe place to share, because the more people share their stories, the more you'll give other people peace and hope that, wow, you're a role model. I don't know you, but you're a role model.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I try.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, she does. And so, Stacy, I want to give you the platform, because when we spoke on the way here, I mean, what would be the one message you want to put out to possibly, just inform people? Like, we all have this platform, and what would be the one thing that you would share?
Regarding suicide?
Yeah, regarding suicide.
That as dark as you feel, and feel that there is not hope, that it won't get better, it will, and you don't have to commit suicide to make it better. Just reach out for somebody. And I realize that's really hard when you're feeling really bad, but try as much as you can to just talk to anybody.
But
just
what do you
talk.
think they should say? Because you tried talking to people, but they weren't listening. Like, what do you think? And I'm putting you on the spot because we didn't talk about this. But I'll ask Teresa the same thing. But what are the words that we should say to somebody to make them understand the severity of it?
I think about that a lot because as I said, I was telling people I didn't feel right. I couldn't say I'm going to kill myself. I just wouldn't say that
Because
to
if
someone.
you said that, they would become alert,
Uh-huh.
okay, and might try to change your mind. So you didn't quite go there.
Yeah.
We have to think of something. Teresa,
I
you
think-
probably know better.
I think people, what you said was important, but people use the term "I don't feel good," "I don't feel right," that it's become so passé that it just cascades over people's ears. I think we need to be a little bit more. I don't feel good, or I need help. 3 words. I
Yes.
need help.
I need help.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good one.
need help.
Yeah.
Though-
That would have been perfect.
Right.
Yes.
3
Yes.
simple words. I
Yes.
need help.
Right.
Yes.
And even if you don't know what that help is, you can even say that. I don't know what it is, but I know I need help.
Right.
That is perfect.
Right.
Because those
Because
3
it'll
words,
start a conversation.
Right.
And that's what I
Right.
needed.
Yes.
You just need a conversation started. I need help. To say I don't feel good or something's not right, people say that every
They hear
day.
that all
Could
the
have been
time.
Hear that all
cold,
the time.
Right.
So you become mute to it or deaf to it. But I need help is really a big. What do you mean you need help? And you might, those listening might just feel I don't know what that means. I can't put that into words, but I know I'm not right. That's all you
Well,
need to say.
I need help, and if that conversation doesn't go anywhere, then you could say, I need help because I feel like I'm going to end everything. Or everything's coming to an end.
Or, I think sometimes too, people who are thinking about suicide don't think along those lines. It's a reaction to it's an end result to a lead up to this process. So I need help, and then if the dialogue doesn't sustain a
And
result,
you have to go a little further.
a little further of, I'm feeling not normal. I'm feeling, so that we know that it's something emotional.
Right, right.
I'm feeling unhappy, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling, and that's just it.
Yeah. There's something I do want to say before we close is, we talk about people not hearing the cry for help, but we don't want to place blame on anybody. We don't want anybody to walk away from this thinking like, what could I have done better? Like we're all learning, we're all experiencing. This is all new, the severity of suicide.
And the silent epidemic that goes
It's silent.
goes uncalled.
Yes.
So I don't want anybody to think that if they know somebody, because I have not met anybody in my life who doesn't know somebody who committed suicide. It's definitely 6 degrees, if not less, of separation.
Yeah.
So I don't want anybody thinking, well, I missed somebody's call or cry for
I
help.
want to make sure that people realize that this show is not about placing blame on anybody. The person that committed suicide, or the person that's trying to commit suicide, or the person that didn't hear the cry. This is just about educating people to become aware that it's an epidemic, like Teresa says, and that we all need to be aware, and really to take the time to listen to what people are saying to you. They say when you go out on a date, a man will tell you within the first 3 times exactly what they're thinking. No, they do. They'll tell you the truth of who they are. That's not negative or positive, but sometimes women want to create their own thought patterns on what a man is saying. So it's the same thing. You have to be open to hear exactly what is being said to you, to use those tools. And if you can't help them, then get somebody who can.
Well, and the other thing I'm hearing somebody screaming in the background of me, I want you to trust your
That's the
intuition. You know, maybe the person who's thinking about suicide isn't giving you any cues, but the body language is.
Right. Right.
You know, or you're sensing something, you
Right.
might not be able to put your finger on it. Maybe you need to start the dialogue to say, "Hey,
Yes.
do you need help?"
Yes.
Or I noticed today you're not in you're in a mood, or you're out of sync,
You're
or
too quiet.
you're too quiet, or
Not like you.
not like you. So, you know, so we have to also be more acutely aware of our people in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's not that you miss something. I will tell you, quite a few adolescents have told me they hit it so well, nobody knew.
The ones that crossed over. and
Ones
you've
who already
communicated.
crossed over.
I just got to clarify that because I understand it, but the general population's like, oh, why did like they're thinking like it's. But Teresa communicates with the other side.
Yeah. And for me, sometimes it's so much more comfortable talking the other side.
Yeah.
So I apologize, but yes, we have to open up the dialogue.
Yes. So we'll continue this conversation. We need to close it out, but I want to thank everybody, and please purchase this book. What happens a day after? It brings a lot of light to a difficult situation, and really will help you to understand the mindset behind suicide, and provide details in the back of to support those that want to commit suicide.
And there's techniques in the book for self utilization,
Right.
and for yourselves to get through depression, bullying, and help people who are contemplating suicide. I also check my website, Teresa St. Francis. I have quite a few upcoming events coming up.
Right.
Where
Your
I'll
open
be
forum.
my-
When's your next open forum?
November 16th,
At
the Saddlebrook Crown Plaza in
Crown Plaza.
Saddlebrook,
It's
New
beautiful.
Jersey.
It's beautiful.
So tickets are available. Go to my website. Also, if you are having problems struggling with depression or anxiety, you want to talk to a loved one, call me for a reading,
Yes.
and I will help you.
Yeah, and she does it via Skype.
I do it Skype, phone, and in person.
Yes. So
Terrific.
okay, Stacy, thank you for sharing your
My
story
pleasure.
today. It was a gift. It was tough, and for you to come out and share your story with the general population, it's
It's a gift.
It's
So
a
thank
gift.
you for
It's a
the
gift
gift.
you're giving to everybody.
It's a gift. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you both for having me.
Oh,
And
it's
me.
okay. My pleasure. I think I'm just going to end with singing I Hope You Dance a little bit a cappella because I think I believe in music is too happy of a song to end this show with. I want to give people hope. So I Hope You Dance is really a good show. And then we'll blow our kisses and we'll roll out. So here I go. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leaves you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. I hope some helping heart don't leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. God bless everybody. We look forward to next week, and have a little peace, hope, and love in your life, and love one another, and be kind to one another, as Ellen always would say. Let's blow our kisses. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clears. Lord, I shed all my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Soul is something I've always wanted to know. There's a whole sense of security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns, this heartbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns, this broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clears. Lord, I shed all my tears.